Hello. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first night of this year's Habitat House Party. Can you believe it's that time again? I can't. Um, this is the first night of what is now our hybrid Habitat House Party, meaning that tonight we're fully free and fully virtual. We decided, and then tomorrow, of course, we'll assemble. A number of us will assemble at Guastavino's, which has become our home away from home when it comes to the Habitat House Party. But tonight we wanted to keep that virtual feel. Being virtual, even though COVID kind of forced us into the virtual world way back when, at the start 100 years ago, when COVID became a thing that we had to deal with, the coming out of it from my lips to God's ears, there is value to the virtual environment. And so we wanted to keep it as part of our story. It allows us to come into your living rooms, to come into your offices, to share our message and to tell the story of Habitat for Humanity and our work in New York City, right where you are. So thank you for being part of our evening. I'm excited to get this party started. I want to talk a little bit about accessibility. Certainly, hopefully you've noticed that there is some closed captioning going on. Access and accessibility is important. It's important to housing. It's important when it comes to hearing impairment. And so this is our opportunity to elevate access and the important role of accessibility. So read along with us, and welcome to those of you who may be hearing impaired, and thank you for joining us tonight. Our theme tonight is Housing for a Healthier New York. That sounds like a pretty obvious choice, perhaps, especially as we're coming out of a global pandemic. But it's a broader meaning, really, a healthier New York. Certainly, coming out of the pandemic, it causes us perhaps to reflect on the role of housing in stable health. I've told this story before, but oftentimes during the pandemic, when you heard stay at home or you saw the hashtag stay home, well, and the question that was on my lips and really those at Habitat for Humanity in New York City and all of us in the affordable housing sector is, what if home isn't safe? What if home isn't stable? What if home isn't healthy? What if home isn't affordable? What if home doesn't provide you access to technology that is necessary to connect to the world? What if home is all of those things and people are telling you to stay home? And so at Habitat, we really value and we're committed to elevating the role of home and providing, indeed, homes to families across New York City and Westchester County, and really providing that stability of place that people and families need, and that some of us can sometimes take for granted. And we do that through a number of interesting and innovative ways. And we have some time to talk about it a little bit tonight, and we'll talk about it again tomorrow. And you can always find us. We're happy to talk. I also want to talk a little bit about, again, access and diversity. Because what if your place of housing is prevented or not available to you because of housing policy that has been unfavorable to you because of basically the color of your skin or where you come from? What if the housing policy is committed to marginalizing you and keeping you separate from? So Habitat is all about leveraging who we are to build homes for families in need, in partnership with families in need, and to elevating our voice to change policy and to being a real ally and to being a real accomplice in changing the state of our city and our nation when it comes to fair housing and affordable housing. So on with the show, as the saying goes. And so the purpose of tonight is really, I want to talk a little bit about the sponsors that make all of this possible. Certainly all of you for tuning in. We're very grateful to you, but we're also grateful first and foremost to Technology Architect Design, also known as TAD. They're the people behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain, if you will. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. In this case, there is a curtain, and it is actually a man. And so thank you to TAD for their commitment to this work and being with us and making all of this possible. Thank you, a heartfelt thank you indeed to three of our sponsors. TradeWeb, longtime partner of Habitat for Humanity's work in New York City and Westchester County. Thank you. Not only have they been with us for many years, they are dedicated to board service and trying to lead us and helping us to lead and carve our way towards the future. TradeWeb, Leo Lesky, and all of you at TradeWeb, thank you. To Westchester County Executive George Latimer and I'm sorry, I just jumped over you. Forgive me for a second. That's what happens when I read. I'm way better if I just, wing it. So let's wing it. Second sponsor to thank, City National Bank. Thank you to City National Bank for joining us. It's the first time, I think, that City National Bank is joining us at our Habitat House Party. Thank you for leading the way for affordable housing in New York City and Westchester County. And last but not least, Ron and Olga Franklin. Ron Franklin, thank you, is on our board, and his wife Olga, they come out and celebrate with us at each of these events. I'm so grateful for their passion for our mission. Ron and Olga, thank you for being our sponsors. Honorees. What would a gala be if we weren't honoring champions of the affordable housing movement? M&T Bank. You're gonna hear a little bit about M&T Bank tonight. They have been a long cornerstone partner of our work. They make this work possible. They make this work streamlined. They have grown with us in terms of how they partner with us, and you're going to hear a little bit from M&T Bank. Thank you, M&T Bank. You're going to hear about them. We wanted to honor their commitment to us tonight. Another honoree is Westchester County Executive George Latimer. You may have heard us say before, and let me just remind you that we now serve families beyond the 5 boroughs of New York City into Westchester County, north of the city. And that is possible and certainly streamlined by good and faithful partners like the county executive. You'll hear a little bit from him. We're honored to be in the county and to be stretching beyond our reach even to serve families in new and innovative ways in this new geography. New York City Council member Margaret Chin, just a tried and true champion of affordable housing, a passionate civil servant, a passionate public servant, a passionate professional who is so committed to this work in so many ways. You'll hear a little bit from her. We are just pleased and proud to honor Councilmember Chin. It has been an honor to work with Councilmember Chin in the past years. And last and not least, our outgoing former board chair, Doug Morrison, his lovely wife, Claudia Morse, who truly have an unshakable dedication to this mission and have really been instrumental in the tremendous growth and tremendous impact that we've been able to accomplish. I am personally grateful to Doug and Claudia in so many ways. And professionally, we would not be where we are without their passion. So I know you'll be looking forward to hearing more from these honorees. And we always talk about our home buyers, our homeowners. It's always, it sounds trite maybe, but they are the wind beneath our wings. They're the reason that we do this. Let me let you in on a little secret. Developing affordable housing in New York City and Westchester County is not for the faint of heart. It is not easy work, and it is complicated, and it involves a lot of rolling up our sleeves, and it involves a lot of late nights and early mornings, and really sort of pushing hard to keep things moving forward. And so when the going gets tough, the people that we think about, the images that come up in my head are the stories of the families, the stories of the home buyers who are doing so much to further themselves. They're doing the training, they're doing the sweat equity, they're learning what their journey is in front of them. And that is such an honor to be part of that journey. And so what would a gala be? Virtual or in person, if we didn't hear a little bit from one of our home buyer partners. So I'm excited to introduce you a little bit later to Kendall Hooper, who will be part of our Sydney House community in the Bronx. And then you'll also hear a little bit about our Habitat House Party. Whoop, whoop. If you haven't heard about the Habitat House Party, We were talking in the green room before broadcast, and really what the Habitat Happy Awards are is kind of like the technical awards show before the Oscars, right? So, you watch the Oscars and somebody stands up and says, let me tell you a little bit about all of these great people and how they are part of our work in so many ways, so many ways. And so we created the Happy Awards to honor those volunteers, whether they're in the Restore, whether they're in the office. We really and truly could not do the work that we do. So many of you, when you think of Habitat for Humanity, I know you get these images of build volunteers, right? It's an important element of what we do. And there are so many other ways in which you can volunteer with our organization. And so we want to celebrate those among us who have put in that extra effort, especially in this past time of COVID. Just tremendous, tremendous work. So you'll hear a bit more about the Happy Awards. And so I am going to introduce to you now our video. You'll have, and let me say, roll video.
Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Habitat House Party. My name is Anthony Montalto. I am honored to serve as a new board chair at Habitat NYC in Westchester. This pandemic has further strengthened our belief that home is one of the most important foundations to the well-being of our community. And our mission at Habitat NYC in Westchester is about supporting our communities to provide that opportunity for everyone to have a place called home. At Habitat, we know that a stable, affordable home affects a family's entire life. Children perform better at school and have healthier lives. Parents have more stable employment and build wealth. At our 2021 Habitat House Party, we celebrate the role Habitat NYC in Westchester played in our region's building and preserving affordable housing for a healthier New York. A healthier New York is one that strives for equity, works to close the wealth gap, and gives every hardworking New Yorker the chance to build strength, stability, and self-determination. That work starts at home, which is why at Habitat NYC in Westchester, we believe in a city and a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Habitat House Party is a two-night event that celebrates our organizational leaders and donors who have greatly impacted our affordable housing mission. We hope you enjoyed tonight's programming and look forward to connecting with everyone at tomorrow's in-person gala at Gustavinos.
These recent years as chairman have been a transformational journey for me, and I'm so proud of how the extraordinary staff and board have moved this remarkable organization in such a positive direction. For me, it all began back in 2012 after returning to the city from a family trip to South Africa. While there, we spent a day touring a township called Khayelitsha. The poverty was like nothing we'd ever seen. We met with several leaders of the community who were making a tremendous difference by helping improve shelters, teaching trades, doing everything they could to help better the lives of their fellow neighbors. It struck me that even though we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, New York too has a tremendous housing problem. Having heard about Habitat throughout my life, I reached out to a friend, John Isaacs, who was on the board at the time, and the rest is history. I asked myself what could be more worthwhile than helping fellow New Yorkers and their families attain a safe and affordable home. The answer, not much. And that fed my passion to join the board of Habitat New York City. Since then, my wife Claudia and our kids have all caught habititis, and they've thoroughly enjoyed participating in builds, and our son Matt even worked at the Habitat Restore in Queens.
Thank you so much to Habitat New York City and Westchester for this honor. Creating fair and affordable housing opportunities has been a keystone of our administration here in Westchester County. It is something we strongly believe in. We just cut the ribbon on senior housing in Greenburgh after seeing the potential in an underdeveloped, underused, and abandoned property. Today, it is now home to 75 families. While I'm honored that the county is being recognized for its efforts, it's more than that. It's a mission for everyone living in the county to be able to afford where they live and choose where they want to live. We want communities to be served for years to come, long after I leave this office, and for generations later to understand the importance of paving the way for others and for neighbors to be good to each other, because that is what community is all about.
I was so happy to hear that I'm being honored for the 2021 Habitat House Party. And I thank Habitat for Humanity for all the great work that they do in building affordable housing. I was so proud that we were able to build the first tax credit affordable housing project in the community. And I still remember the faces of the families that were able to move in and kids having a room of their own and a place to study.
I am truly humbled by the recognition from Habitat. Living in one of the most expensive cities in the world, people just feel like, the affordable housing opportunities are not there. But let me tell you, they are there.
Habitat is the Habitat you know, and so much more. Over these last 6 years, we've been able to develop many different programs than just the typical build that everyone is so familiar with. We have a CDFI, which helps communities by providing financing for projects that they need. We have a preservation program, which helps affordable apartment complexes accomplish work that they need that they otherwise might not be able to perform. And financial educational programs, just so much beyond what everyone might already know about Habitat.
I think one of my favorite memories through my involvement with Habitat was the interfaith build that I co-chaired a few years ago. One of my co-chairs was a close friend who's of Palestinian origin, and it really brought together people of all faiths in New York City to work together on a build. And we had a rabbi and an imam and a priest. And at a time when New York was experiencing a lot of intolerance for different religions, it showed a lot of beautiful promise for what we can all do together, New Yorkers of different faiths, when we come together.
I still remember the seniors who were able to move into the senior housing at Essex Crossing and how they really are so happy they finally have a place of their own and their own bathroom, not having to share with another household.
Witnessing the expressions on the faces of those family members moving into their home for the first time at the key ceremonies. It's indescribable, and it's something that I will always remember. One of the friends of the family member that we were building the home for sang her a beautiful, beautiful song. And actually, I get emotional thinking about it now. It was just fabulous.
Habitat for Humanity is the organization that knows the importance of homeownership. They are the go-to place for those individuals who are looking to purchase their own home.
I just can't say enough good things about this organization. The work that they do, providing homes for people in need through sweat equity, the families have to participate and want to participate in building their own home. It's such a special organization. I can't express how proud I am of the work that they do in this city.
The challenges that we're facing is obviously the shortage of housing opportunities that exist. The housing developments that are occurring now are basically for the higher income individual.
Having a home is a primal need for all families, for all people. Adults and children alike just feel so much more security and stability when they have a safe place that they can come home to at the end of the day.
Having a safe and affordable home should be a right for everyone.
Why would people not want that? Everyone deserves that.
And I look forward to opening up Haven Green. Over 120 seniors that will be able to have a home of their own and a beautiful public open space that they can share with their neighbors and people in the community.
The future of Habitat and affordable housing are in all of our hands. Together, we can build a stronger community and a healthier New York. And as many of you have heard, we've recently increased our reach to include Westchester County as well. We're excited to expand our impact by engaging any and all who will share this vision. And we hope to see you at tomorrow's in-person event. Thank you all so much for your support.
Philanthropy, corporate giving, and the advancement of our communities has always been a large part of our Tradeweb culture and identity. We believe building better markets comes with a responsibility to improve the world around us. Over a decade ago, we began our long-term partnership with Habitat for Humanity New York City and Westchester, and the service and volunteerism from our employees has been incredible to experience, from participating in volunteer days, Brush with Kindness events, and fundraising galas. We look forward to continuing to support the life-changing work of this organization.
I was like, you know what, I'm gonna apply. And for some odd reason, I was like, I'm gonna apply because I know I'm gonna get it. And then I got it.
When I got the email, I thought to myself, wow, this can't be happening. Like, this is way different. This is an actual home buying experience.
I know that it's going to be a totally different feeling knowing that when you push that door open, it's your home.
Because I think it gives me connection. And I wanted to find roots. It's an integral part of the community in which I live, rather than just a transient blob floating through the wind.
It's the beginning of legacy for our two daughters. We're setting a better example for them. What do you want to put in your room?
Some eggplant.
Some eggplant?
Eggplant. Kitchen toys.
Oh, the kitchen toys, okay. Are you going to sleep in your own bedroom?
Yes.
Okay, that would be nice.
I love New York City.
All walks of life in one subway car.
Yes, I have grown up in the Bronx my whole life.
This is my hometown. This is it. I've had opportunities to move away, and no. This is where you gotta be. This is where everything is happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great video. I hope you enjoyed it. I love to hear from the honorees, and I loved hearing from the sponsor. And I'm grateful to so many to get us this far with the video. More than anything, I know one of the best things about what we do is really hearing from the homeowners and the home buyers and their journey, so that you can hear up close and personal what this experience is a little bit like. So I'm honored and pleased and very grateful to introduce a special guest who's joining us this evening, Habitat home buyer, Kendall Hooper. Kendall?
I am here, Miss Karen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am grateful and blessed to be here with you tonight. Thank you very much.
So grateful that you are here. I've so enjoyed our conversation in the green room. Sometimes I think we ought to invite the people back in the green room because they get to hear us chatting. And you were full of so much great energy and passion for this journey. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for being willing to be part of this with us this evening. Your story is so representative of the families that I've had the blessing and to meet. But would you mind sharing a little bit of your story and what brought you here, Kendall?
Absolutely, Miss Karen. Thank you again. To be honest with you, I have a close friend of mine named Jerron McNeil. He's a homeowner with the Dean Street property, and he was the first person that just said, "Hey, man, go for it." And to be honest with you, I'll do myself a disservice not giving him any credit, as well as others, as I'll give towards the end. But for myself, I'm Kendall Hooper. I'm from the Crown Heights area of Brooklyn, New York. I'm 33 years young. And I actually went to school at Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, in which I studied business, and just recently moved back to Brooklyn about 4 years ago, excuse me. And I live with my mom. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, but I moved to Florida, obviously for school, and came back about 3.5 years ago. And I had a goal, Miss Karen. I had a goal that said, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to be a homeowner in 2.5 years. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't happen in that 2.5 years, but it happened in 3.5. And the funny thing about that story is I applied for a bunch of rental properties, but the home ownership opportunity was the only one that accepted me. That's why I feel so strong about, one, it being Habitat, and then two, being a homeowner. So I'm grateful.
That's great. What do you think? What does home ownership mean to you? And tell me a little bit more about that. Why home ownership?
Well, to be honest with you, every day I wake up, Miss Karen, I always ask myself, how great can I be? Being a homeowner, I always assumed it wasn't easy. I always dreamed of being a homeowner, being an African-American man growing up in New York City. I didn't think some things were for me. Simply, I never saw them. And one of the things of home ownership was I just felt like I wanted to break generational curses. Owning a home was the opportunity to do such. And I always wanted to be that person that kind of did that for myself and others. And being in this position, I'll be honest with you, I lost my job during COVID in March of 2020. And I was working with kids. I love mentorship. And it was a hard feeling for me, Miss Karen. You know, I was laid off and I felt like this would affect my opportunity that I had with the Habitat for Humanity. It actually did. But I turned it quickly into a positive. I decided to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to give up doing my sweat equity hours. So I decided to just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay active. I'm going to be resourceful and reach out to the people that can help me keep my energy and my encouragement. And during that time, you know, honestly, throughout that time, I wound up connecting with a pastor, and he actually welcomed me to a position that's actually going to be coming up soon, which is a youth director in ministry, in which I'll be directing the youth and facilitating that as well. So it's been a journey. It has been a journey. Also during COVID, briefly, my mom had got sick. I'm all about health and wellness. And, you know, I had to decide whether or not I was going to take my mom to the hospital. At that time in New York City, we weren't allowed to see our families beyond, you know, a certain point. And I had to decide to say, hey, you know, am I going to use these natural remedies to bring my mom back to life, being that she has a pre-existing condition? And that happened. And I decided to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to nurse her. And thank God that I did, because it made me more encouraged to go after home ownership. And also to bring the awareness of being healthy, because that affected mine losing my job.
Wow. Kendall, thank you for sharing that story. That really brings home the impact that COVID has on, certainly on you and on your family. And may God continue to bless you on that. It's just an amazing story.
Right.
Thank you for sharing it with us.
Right.
What would you say, what would you say to someone, so many times, one of the things we can sometimes be challenged by in New York City is, affordable home ownership and New York City. Right. How do those two things go together, So what would you say to people like yourself who have aspirations and dreams about being a homeowner and yet they don't take the step? What would be your advice to them? I mean, seriously, you've overcome hurdle after hurdle and stayed positive and stayed committed and stayed engaged. And I'm so moved by that. So many of us are like, oh, well, that didn't work out, move on. And you're just committed. And I'm really interested in what advice you'd give someone like yourself who saw the barriers and not the opportunities.
Wow. Such a great question. I would tell you that believe that it's for you. I started out not believing. I'm guilty. Started out not believing that this was for me, because where I come from, an inner city neighborhood in Crown Heights, what we see, we tend to have limiting beliefs, and we don't necessarily apply ourselves because we don't feel like it's for us. We don't see much of it, so we don't believe. We restrict ourselves by not applying ourselves for the opportunity and applying ourselves to see if we can actually do it. And I started telling myself, I flipped my mentality and I started saying, what's the worst that could happen if you go for this thing? And I said, what's the worst that could happen? Kendall, I said the word no. I've heard it plenty of times and it kept me going. It just meant not right now. And, I started asking myself, okay, what's the best that could happen? And you gain the opportunity to own a home. You become the first one in your family to open the door for not just your family and people, but for the people behind you who had that limiting belief as well. So I'm a firm believer in setting the bar. And that's what I decided to do. I decided to be the person that said, hey, you know what? In this Hooper generation, in this inner city neighborhood, I'm going to be an example of someone that says, you know what? We're going to break this barrier and we're going to believe that this is possible by you taking that first step. So I think, I think you guys, and I just think the opportunity of having this as a task, something that just kept me going. So that was it for me.
Wow. You know what? I should just hand this mic over to you. I could listen to you all night. I'm not kidding. I'm going to quote you, how great can I be? And, believe that it's for you. I mean, those are strong mantras and really motivational for all of us, good advice for all of us. Thank you for sharing so openly. And so inspirationally, really, I'm quite about your journey. I am truly moved as someone who can be distracted by the barriers sometimes and really focused on, as CEO, sometimes that's what we have to do, right? You have to focus on the things that get in your way to get them out of your way. And what you've just given me, the gift you've given me here, Kendall, is this more positivity, this focus on the positivity, and it's you're gonna be my new inspiration. I'm gonna play this in lieu of podcasts.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Truly, I'm really excited about your journey. Is there anything else you want to share before we move on? Next on our program is our Habby Awards and honoring our volunteers. But before we make that transition, and I invite Ricardo back to join us, I wanted to give you the last word. Is there anything you'd want to share that you haven't yet?
Well, my biggest gratitude go to you guys for the Habitat for Humanity, starting with yourself, Miss Karen, Jesse, Ricardo, Miss Elizabeth, but most importantly, Miss Hannah, who is the senior director of Habitat. If I'm misquoting the title, I apologize. But Miss Aline, starting with her from the marketing team, Miss Aline gave me a certain agenda she told me to abide by, and she said, Kendall, no matter how hard this get, just continue to go after it. And that encouraged me. It built my confidence throughout this process. I learned myself as a man, and I learned more about the people that was involved with this company through them two people right there specifically. And I thank them very much, because without them, I couldn't do this. I call Miss Hannah the boss lady. She's so great at what she does. Actually. She's so great at what she does. I cannot thank her enough. And to be honest with you, I'm following her lead until the day that I sign those papers, along with who might be, in charge of that. I look forward to that day. And thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. It truly, keeps me motivated to want to continue to go after this.
Kendall, honestly, I should be thanking you. You are an inspiration. And listen, I am one proud CEO. When I hear those kind of glowing praise for the hard work of my team, I really want to thank you for honoring that. It's the unseen toiling that goes on to make all of this possible. So thank you for recognizing them. I know that they're touched and moved as I am. So, sir, I can't wait until we meet again. Kendall, thank you for being here. I'm gonna invite up Ricardo, who's going to come back to join me here and to lead us into the Habby Awards. Ricardo, wow.
Speechless.
Yeah, just
I like script it. I do the talking points for the program, and I wrote for myself like react to the conversation, and my reaction is absolutely speechless. It's so rare that we get to connect with the home buyers in our event space. So thank you to Kendall for making time to join us this evening and for sharing personally what I needed to hear about staying strong, believing in yourself, and really pushing through, which leads me to something that you have always shared with me, which is, sometimes you just have to trust the pebbles that are in front of you because it can lead you to the mountain. And, to hear two people who I highly respect have that conversation was a blessing. So thank you.
Well, the feeling's mutual, Ricardo. Ricardo, for those of you who don't know, has a long journey and a long history with Habitat. 10 years ago, as part of our nationwide Habitat Young Professionals Network. And your passion for the mission, Ricardo, in so many ways is, and how much I value your input and your perspective. And so mutual admiration society aside, I'm very, very grateful for all of your work behind the scenes. It takes a village. It sounds sounds trite, but boy, it takes a village. And I'm so very grateful for your vision and for your role in all of and bringing us here this evening. So
thank you, Karen. Well, since you gave me a shout out about my beginnings as a humble volunteer back in my Chicago days, I think let's segue right into the Habby Awards, which is part of tonight's kickoff celebration of our 2-night Habitat House Party. If you're joining us for the first time and you have not heard anything about the in-person, welcome. It is happening tomorrow evening at Gustavino's 59th and Lexington. You can scroll to the bottom of our event website to get your tickets if you'd like. The Habby Awards are such a special part of this celebration because they recognize the many different ways that you can volunteer with our organization. Volunteering with our organization is synonymous with having an impact on affordable housing. And so to kick off this conversation, I am so excited to introduce two of my favorite volunteers. This is definitely nepotism because they're also from the Habitat Young Professionals Network. But please join me in welcoming Nicole Lee and Angelina Fung. Hi.
Hi,
Ricardo.
Yes.
Angelina.
Y'all are so business. I love it. You know that I love to have a good time on these broadcasts. Please loosen it up. So two of my favorite people to introduce to the world, incredible leaders, part of the Habitat Young Professionals Network. So Nicole, you started with Habitat Young Professionals, my goodness, like 3.5, 4 years ago, became a co-chair, redefined volunteerism beyond the build site with your co-chair, Faith Lagerstedt, and the incredible Hype Board. And now you're advancing to the Women Build Council. I feel like Angelina will be following that path as well. She started as a Hype member, became membership chair, is now co-chair with Monique Sia, who will also be on site running tomorrow's in-person gala. So share with us. Let's start with Nicole, since you have seniority. What inspired you to get connected to Habitat for Humanity as a volunteer?
Yeah, so from a very young age, I volunteered through my church, actually. And so really volunteering has been a big part of my faith and who I am as a person. And the really nice thing about Habitat is that it has roots in Christianity. And so from the beginning, that's really what differentiated Habitat for me over other nonprofits. And so one thing that Kendall mentioned during his speech is sweat equity. And it is a hand up, not a handout. And that's something that's always resonated with me and my family. And so that was really the beginning. And so when I was 15 years old, that's over, nearly 15 years ago, I became a volunteer when I started building homes with my friends in Southern California. And so we would go to a neighboring town called Pacoima, where there was a Habitat building site, and we broke home to over 40 houses. And we would spend our weekends just building houses and fundraising for the organization.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. I love a good origin story. And I want to give our viewers just a heads up that we will be going past 8 o'clock because we're just getting into the details. And we are also introducing the 2021 Volunteer of the Year. So stay tuned with us. Angelina, what is your origin story? What inspired you to become a volunteer?
Sure. So similarly to Nicole, it's very interesting to see how a lot of, what motivates us to become volunteers really start when we were younger. So I grew up in Hong Kong with parents who are very philanthropic, and I've had the privilege to really see how others live in, different parts, parts of China. I've been to India, Tibet, and even South Africa. And on every single volunteering trip I've ever been on, all I remember is how immensely grateful everybody is for us, donating our time, volunteering our time to improve their lives. It was one of the most rewarding those were always such rewarding experiences for me. And it was, just to us, it wasn't a great deal of work, but it meant the world and made the world of a difference to a lot of people. So when I first moved to New York and I finally have a job, I'm more stable in my life. I finally have time to give back, and the best way that I could do it at this time with my busy schedule is to give back beyond the job site with skills I've acquired from over the years. And so I'm very happy to have found Habitat Young Professionals, which provided me with an opportunity to develop as a leader while giving back in the way I do know best.
Love it. I feel like you said Habitat Young Professionals, and I think we need to trademark that. So I don't know, Lib, if you're watching, can you talk to legal about marketing and trademarks? So I'm just so fascinated by the two of you. You inspire me to just keep the good. I don't want to say the good fight. That sounds so dramatic. But as Karen mentioned earlier, the ambitious mission of this organization to provide safe, decent, affordable housing, not just in New York, not just in Westchester County, not just in the United States, but around the world. This is a global organization that's working towards the same goal here. It's not easy. It's not easy to provide access to affordable housing. And if you're not, if you don't work in government relations or you don't work in housing, the learning curve is pretty aggressive, because it's important to understand the infrastructure of the organization and how these policies play into disenfranchising Black and Brown communities. So I'm curious to hear, in the time that you've spent with the organization, because I know especially with the both of you, you've been very interested and involved with our advocacy initiatives. What would you say has been your greatest learning moment as a volunteer?
Sure, I can kick that off. So when I first started volunteering, much like Angelina, it was about the individual impact that I made. So going out and building houses or asking for signatures on policies. But as I grew up with the organization, it was more about becoming a leader through volunteerism and through advocacy and sharing my passions for real estate with everyone around me. And so I think you really see that with HYPE. And Angelina can probably agree that a big part of the role as co-chair is creating a community within real estate and authorizing the individuals on the team to be their own leaders and empowering others to step up.
Yeah, and I definitely echo that too. And, going off of what you said, Ricardo, Habitat for Humanity, New York City and Westchester County is, we cover one of the most complex, most expensive real estate here, and the intricacies that with the work we do here is so imminent. And, that was maybe one of my biggest learning curve is being able to speak knowledgeably about that, advocate for the mission while growing as a leader myself too.
So excited for both of you. In many ways, you're just at the beginning of your leadership journey with our organization. And I want to say thank you for just always bringing the best, always bringing positivity, always bringing ideas, always setting expectations. Something that we talk a lot about in the volunteer space is that it's volunteerism. And at the end of the day, your lifestyle can change in an instant, and sometimes you have to change your commitments. For many people, volunteering is, the first thing to go. So one of the things I've always respected about the both of you is that you live very busy lives. You're both in grad school, full-time jobs, living your life to the fullest. And when you make the time to be present, you're fully present, and then you communicate when you have to take a step back and focus on other areas of your life. And part of why I wanted to share that is for all of you who are watching and thinking, well, how can I get involved? Or, I don't have that much free time. our organization, it's not exclusively volunteering on the construction site, as many people are familiar with in terms of volunteerism. There are so many different ways that you can make a difference through a restore, through office volunteerism, virtual volunteerism, even just introducing your network. That may seem very surface level, but I'll give you an example. We had a volunteer a couple of years ago who was under the impression that Habitat for Humanity was only, kind of like disaster relief type service. They didn't understand that it existed in metropolitan cities all around the world. So last question, what are you most excited about for your future as a leader within this organization?
Angelina, do you want to kick this one off?
Sure. I was just going to say, like you said, I feel like I am just at the start of the journey. I truly have grown through my time here. I learned so much, about humility, about strategic planning. We talk all about that all the time, learn about delegation and really, mostly about influence, and really looking forward to continue to carry that forward in the next fiscal year, working with more people within my network. Some of my colleagues will be showing up tomorrow. And I'm very excited to just continue with my journey here.
Yeah, and I'll echo exactly what Angelina said. I'm just very excited about what the next year holds. One thing that I've learned through volunteering is that it's really a muscle that needs to be exercised, and it's not like you become charitable at the end of your life. You really need to be charitable throughout your life. And so I think just continuing to prioritize Habitat in my life has been one of the most rewarding things. And what I'm most excited about is I'm actually switching employers. So prior to grad school, I was working at Voya Financial, and I'll be going to a large bank after graduating. And I'm excited to partner with the corporate responsibility team there and see if we can have a good partnership rolling with Habitat as well. And if you are a woman passionate about housing and diversity in real estate, please reach out to the Women's Build Council. We're looking for talented young individuals.
I'll do a quick plug too for Habitat Young Professionals. We're always looking for more volunteers. We have lots of projects, but yeah, before I steal the thunder, I just want to say, if you would like to learn more about how other ways you can volunteer, in addition to the ways that Ricardo had listed, just go on the Habitat website under How to Help, and you can see Women Build Council, you can see Habitat Young Professionals. You can always reach out to myself, to our shared inbox. We're all happy to help and take you to the next step of your volunteer journey.
Let's go. Call to action. I love it. And Nicole, you mentioned a new employer. Julia's watching. Julia's going to reach out and she's going to be like, hey, how can we support you? So we'll definitely continue the conversation. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us tonight. So excited you're able to attend the in-person gala tomorrow. And thank you to Habitat Young Professionals and Women Bold Council, who are co-hosting the official after party. If you're interested in getting involved with our organization, again, there are so many different ways. And we're gonna bring up another volunteer, our 2021 Volunteer of the Year, in just a moment. But before we do that, I would like to bring back our amazing CEO, Karen Haycox.
Oh, here we go. I'm back. That was great.
I just, now that I'm like 35, I feel like I can say things like, the kids are all right.
That's great. That's great. I'm sure you'll hear more from Nicole and Angelina about that comment later.
I'm always just so inspired by the many different people that come together to help actualize our mission. So now we're going to officially announce the 2021 Habby Award recipients. So cue the slide. I'll do a quick. So for Beyond Sweat Equity 2021, we're honoring Janet. This award is for a home buyer or homeowner who has gone above and beyond sweat equity requirements. So you heard from Kendall talking earlier about sweat equity. You heard Nicole talking about sweat equity. So Janet, thank you so much for going above and beyond. Next, we have the Cornerstone Volunteer with Noel, who actually was one of our first virtual volunteers during the pandemic over the course of the summer. Noel's also a high school student, so he dedicated his summer to volunteering virtually with us and actually helped with some of the pipelining and collaborations between all of our different leadership initiatives. Speaking of leadership, next we have Max Rayetsky, who is being recognized for his incredible impact. Max also started as a HYPE board member and quickly power played his way into our newly launched real estate council. So Max, thank you for your contributions. Our Richard Wong Faith Partner honoree for Habby Awards is Reverend Dr. Lakeisha Walren, who spoke at Pursuing the Promised Land earlier this year, and her comments just influenced how we are advocating for affordable housing and working with our faith partners to make a difference. Coming up towards Site Volunteer with Alan Ando. So this is our traditional volunteer space on construction. Thank you to Alan for your time, your commitment, and not breaking any tools. Last but not least, I say that because I have bent so many nails on a site. That's actually part of why you'll never see me there. And the crew says that I take too many selfies. But next we have Sandra Roach, community partner, and we are honoring the Leviticus Fund. They have been so helpful and supportive with our housing services department. So thank you to everyone at the Leviticus Fund. We're excited to see you tomorrow night. Now, oh, the slide is up. Perfect. Karen, would you like to do the honors?
I would. Let me introduce to you Francisco. Although I'm going to mispronounce Francisco's last name. So maybe I'll let Francisco introduce himself. Welcome to the 2022 Volunteer of the Year, Francisco from the Restore. Francisco volunteered in our Habitat Restore. Whoop, whoop. If you don't know about the Habitat Restore, you're missing out. It is a diamond in the rough, a hidden treasure, and the heartbeat of our mission, really reselling good quality materials. And then the funds that are raised help support our mission. So donate your couch, it gets resold, the funding comes back. But before I get into pitch mode, I really want to recognize you, Francisco, for being such an incredible supporter in our Restore. Thank you. How's it feel to be the Volunteer of the Year?
Thank you so much, Ms. Karen. It's an honor to be here, really. I love Habitat for Humanity. I love all the people at the Restore. They're some of the kindest people I've probably ever met. And, it's just a real honor to be able to work with them. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's all about us thanking you. How did you come upon us in the Restore? How did you find us? You had a lot of choices you could have made, and we're ever grateful that you chose Habitat in New York City and Westchester County. But tell us a little bit about how you came to volunteer at the Restore.
When I went out of college for the semester, I was thinking ahead, what am I going to do this summer? And I figured, why not spend that time actually volunteering for my community, for the New York City community. And something that always struck me out was just Habitat for Humanity. I just loved your mission to, be able to get affordable housing for people within the city, especially within the city where housing is a very major issue. So, I guess one thing led to another. I signed up on the website and here I am today.
That's amazing. What does housing for a healthier New York mean to you?
For, all the great things that the city can offer, housing really is just that one problem that's a very difficult thing to manage, especially affordable housing in particular, which, is a very big shame because housing it's a necessity. You think of the things that you need to live. You think of food, you think of water, and you think of shelter. It's a basic human right. So I really think housing for a healthier New York, it really just benefits more the physical and mental aspects. Of course, a house keeps you warm, it keeps you safe, but being able to own a home, regardless of your background, regardless of the environment you come from, is really just a major stress reliever it gives you a sense of accomplishment, and it really gives you a peace of mind to be able to identify a place that is yours and a place you can go home and call home. Maybe not even your generation, but the generations that come after you as well.
That's great. Well, I hope that you feel a part of providing homes for New Yorkers around the city and around the county, because you were so instrumental in the little store that helps build houses, our Restore in Queens. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart, from certainly on behalf of Leslie Williams and Joe Lubinkoff, who are the managers out there who do a tremendous job with the little mighty store that could. It's a tiny little footprint that churns a lot of good work through it. So thank you, Francisco, for your role in that. Anything to add, Ricardo?
Thank you, Karen. I was just so enamored by Francisco's responses, spoken like a true habitatter.
The kids are all right, as the saying goes, right?
Yeah.
To quote a friend of mine, the kids really are all right.
It's just in the tense times that are our constant reality. It is so nice to hear from our community about making a difference and what motivates us to really step forward. Francisco, I have so much respect for you and your commitment to making the world a better place. I would love for you to share with our viewers a little bit more about yourself, because it looks like you're calling in from your school's library. I know that you're in college. So tell us a little bit about your academic path and what you're looking to accomplish in your life for yourself.
Sure. So right now I'm upstate. I'm near Albany. I'm like a 10-minute drive from Albany. Right now I'm in Rensselaer Polytech Institute, RPI, and I'm in a BSMD program. So after about 3 years of undergraduate education for like a bio degree, I go straight to Albany Medical College for my medical degree. And, something I'm really interested in looking into is a lot more of the addiction epidemic that is happening in a lot of urban areas. So I was thinking about maybe specializing in there and being able to directly help my community in that aspect that, really is, it really is a tragedy. And I really hope I can get a foot in there and be able to do my part and help as well.
Wow.
That is so inspiring. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for you, and we wish you the best. We know you're unable to join us tomorrow because you're upstate for school, but consider this a standing invitation. Julia, Jen, and the entire Resource Development Department put Francisco on the 2022 guest list because he will be at the after party.
Not if he's heading for med school, he won't be.
True. All right, so maybe in 6 years, we'll see Francisco at the after party, and we'll be celebrating your many accomplishments.
I have, I think, big things in store. Housing and health, Francisco, housing and health, right?
Yes, Miss Karen, yes. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I definitely look forward to meeting you next year.
Thank you.
The
so
honor
much.
is ours. You are an amazing young man, and we're very, very fortunate. Thank you for dedicating your time, which is so valuable towards our cause. We're very, very grateful. Everybody's saying thank you to me, and I just feel like, wow, it's us that are thanking you. So.
Yes, thank you, Francisco. And speaking of time, can you believe we're actually on time?
When you said earlier we're going to run late, I thought, oh, you have little faith. I think we're going to wrap this thing up right on time.
Well, you know how often I like to go off script.
Ricardo, thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your eloquent passion for our mission, for your just your dedication and your being such an incredible part of the fabric that is Habitat for Humanity in New York City and certainly beyond. I am very grateful for you, and as I know the entire team is. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. That's very sweet of you. Hey, Kendall. Kendall's back.
second that for yourself and Jesse in the background as well.
That is great. Thank you. The star of the show. Thank you for coming back. It's perfect. And it's quitting time, as they say. So I honestly have enjoyed this evening so much. I hope you have too. I hope you feel as fulfilled on the inside as I do at this moment. In these fraught times, it is so important to count our blessings. And I am counting all of you twice. For those of you who brought your company to the party tonight and tomorrow to be part of this. For those of you who are signing up to attend with us tonight and tomorrow, thank you. And certainly to the guests this evening, thank you for telling our story. It's always so great to hear it right from you guys. You know, there's nothing that I can say that you can't say better. For those of you who have made a gift of your time, your talents, and your treasures, we will be forever in your debt. Know that together we have built a healthier New York. Happy Habitat House Party. Thank you in closing to my team who works hard all day long, all week long, all month long, all year long. This is the culmination of a lot of work. So here's to the team. Cheers to you. Thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow.